Today I want to speak about higher purpose leaders. I'm very interested in studying leaders that have made a huge difference in the history of mankind. I call them higher purpose leaders because these leaders have got a sense of vision and purpose. And it is always important to study what are the key strategies that they employ in their whole endeavor. We've got great leaders that we even call them our icons, like, for instance, the Nelson Mandela. I consider him as one of the higher purpose leaders. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., those guys had a higher purpose in life. And many others like Mother Teresa. And it is always important to understand why they made such an indelible mark in the history of mankind. Number one, they face reality. They do not minimize challenges. Challenges will come and go. We're currently facing the challenges of COVID-19, and this challenge requires us to make an honest assessment of what has happened, why it happened, what are we going to do about it, so that we can be able to ensure that we can prevent such a crisis again. But higher purpose leaders are not stuck in the reality of today. They envision the potential of an organization they lead, the nation they lead, the people they lead. It is very important not to be crippled by the current reality. It is important to stand up on a mountain and look forward and be able to speak like Martin Luther King, who says, I've been on a mountaintop. I have seen the promised land. And this is very important for any higher purpose leader to rise above the current reality and see the vision of the future and see the potential of the future and the potential of the nation, the potential of the organization, the potential of the community, the potential of its people. And then move on and set worthy goals. Goals that are multi-pronged in a way that they have a multi-pronged approach. But goals that are believable, goals that are smart. And in context of a nation, it's important to set the goals for the nation, the marketplace, the economy, the workplace, the community, and the organization in which you operate. So it's very important to set goals. I am sure you've gone into great detail in understanding what's the difference between an ordinary goal and also a smart goal. And great leaders, the third thing they do is they do not compromise on things that matter. In other words, there are things that they hold the people accountable for, particularly the standards, the values. And that's critical in the situation when you are in a leadership role. But at the same time, they are tender with people because they engage people. Sometimes you can be tough, but lose people. At the same time, it is very important that you continue to be a leader that focuses on developing and engaging people. They also go on and identify strategic focus. They make sure that there is a clear strategy in the crisis situation in particular, and define unique focus of where the energy of the people will have to go. Because you can continue just to do so many things and spread yourself so thinly. I've seen it in my own leadership role that if I lose my strategic focus, I tend to be all over the place. As I grow and mature in my leadership role, I've realized now that I need to focus. And so important also when you help people to grow up to the challenge of the day. You must challenge their head and you must challenge their heart and ask them to bring their hands. Many a times people just bring their hands in the workplace, but they don't bring their heart, their passion. They don't bring their mind, their intellect, in order to be able to creatively solve the challenges, whatever challenge we're facing. Also, the great leaders, what they do is they build a commitment that is shared to excel. In other words, they build a culture of excellence, but not only short-term, but long-term excellence culture. A culture that holds people to be accountable to each other and build value for everyone, for customers, for employees, for communities, for suppliers, and for the nation and the economy. And these leaders also, because of their higher purpose, are able to work with diverse numbers of people. They create a community out of diversity. They embrace diversity and they value diversity. They instill a shared commitment and team on a global scale or national scale or community scale. It doesn't matter. It allows people and employees particularly to develop their own voice, to be able to develop their own aspirations within the values and the framework of the organization. And these leaders, higher purpose leaders, have got what we call in Finnish language, sisu. Sounds like my Zulu language is sisu. You've got to have the stamina, meaning courage, grit, focus, and strength. This is what we need even today as we go through crisis of unprecedented nature. It's courage, it's grit, it's focus. Continue to work hard and making sure that we go through these challenges and difficult times. And as leaders, you need to be present. Have you ever seen when there's crisis, the leaders disappearing, how people get completely lost? We need presence. And when you're a leader, you need to be extremely present when there's crisis. You need to be visible. You need to engage. People earn trust. And people will trust you when you are present. And you also need to be fair because they are tough, difficult decisions that you've got to make. But if people know that you're making them in the interest of the company or organization and are fair, makes a whole difference. And clarity is critical. Keep your message simple. Keep your message simple. And you need to stay the focus. Persistence in tackling the challenges that we're facing. This is not the first challenge that we're facing. We're going to face challenges all the time. All leaders and every generation face a challenge in their lifetime, and they all generation have got an assignment to tackle. And higher purpose leaders commit themselves to consultative leadership. It is extremely encouraging in our nation to see consultative leadership growing in a way that is helping to create a social cohesion to tackle the challenges we're facing today. It's so encouraging to see labor, business, government, civil society having a social compact to tackle the challenges we're facing today. So it is very important to engage everybody. More importantly, if you are a leader, especially in the time of crisis, you need to have an anchor yourself. It means you've got to have certain values that guide your behavior, that make you consistent, that stabilize you, that anchors you in the stormy seas and uncharted waters that we are right now in. And unless you've got that anchor, I don't know how you're going to succeed. I really don't know. I have my anchor based on my Christian values that anchors me. And I challenge you to have your own anchor. Higher purpose leaders know that there is a reason beyond themselves for the situation in which they find themselves. That's why they've got a higher purpose leadership role. Higher purpose leaders also make sure that they surround themselves with advisors. They choose people who will mentor them. They choose people that they will work with and allow those people to tell them the truth, not what they want to hear. That's very important, that you need to surround yourself with what I call your personal board of advisors. Men and women of experience, men and women of integrity, men and women who've got a number of expertise that you may not have. And higher purpose leaders learn all the time. They learn from their own experience. They accept the challenges. They know they will make mistakes, and they know when they've made mistakes, they need to be humble enough to admit they've made a mistake and correct it. They know that they do not have monopoly of all wisdom. And therefore, I would like to encourage all of us to know that we do not have monopoly of wisdom. We need collective wisdom. Therefore, you need to encourage people to always advise, guide. That does not mean you abdicate your primary role of making a decision, but you make the decision only after you've had a collective views that may be diverse than even yours when you started, and be humble enough to be persuaded if there's a bad idea. But the decision making remains yours, and you've got to take it, and decisively so. And then continuously engage in honest conversation, creating ways for people to cooperate with you. If it's your team, it must work with you. And therefore, it's so important that even the people that work with you espouse the higher purpose values. If they see you doing it, they see you living those values, they will follow it. They'll follow your example, and that is what we need in higher purpose leadership. So, my final message to you at this moment in time in our history, it is critical that we develop higher purpose leaders. And we as ULP are committed to unleashing the leadership potential of many higher purpose leaders that are in this nation, are in the continent, are in the world. That is why we are here. Thank you very much.